With so many video games releasing these days, it's only natural that some of them will fall a little under the radar. All too often, they'll go without receiving the attention that they truly deserve. But back in 2005, a little puzzle game published by a small indie company released for the Nintendo DS. Now this game did relatively well, selling a little over 590,000 copies. Big numbers indeed. But this small indie company would go on to release bigger and better things, leaving their beautiful little puzzle game dead in the dust. And that little puzzle game was PkMn Trozei. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you may have noticed an almost obsessive use of retro video game soundtracks. On today's program, I will be showcasing one of my all-time favorites, and hopefully bringing even a few more eyes to this relatively niche title. So sit back, make sure your ad block is on, and enjoy the show. I am so glad you asked. Thank you. PkMn Trozei loosely translates to Let's Get Pokemon, and you will get them. In PkMn Trozei, balls fall from the top of the screen into a 5x11 grid. You can move lines of Pokemon vertically and horizontally, and by aligning 4 or more of the same Pokemon, you can perform the titular Trozei. This will clear the Trozei Pokemon, and will then require only 3 to Trozei, and finally, only 2. By chaining Trozeis together, you can slowly clear the board of Pokemon in an increasingly satisfying manner. Plus, if you can manage to clear every single Pokemon, you will receive a clean 10,000 points.
Tetris style.
And if you can go one step further and clear the entire board at the end of the stage, you'll receive up to 20,000 points, reduced by how many Pokemon are remaining on stage. Please refrain from interrupting my program. Another huge mechanic of this game is the Pokemon Ditto. In most Pokemon games, Ditto can transform into the shape of any other Pokemon. Trozei is no exception, as Ditto can be used to substitute for any Pokemon it's lined up alongside. A Ditto can randomly spawn, but the main way to drop more Dittos on screen is to Trozei more Pokemon than needed for the current chain. For example, when you need to Trozei 4 Pokemon to start the chain, by chaining 5, you will spawn 1 Ditto. Once you are only requiring 2 Pokemon per Trozei, it can become much easier to spawn multiple Ditto, especially if you preemptively arrange the Pokemon to fall into place. This is where the big scores reside. Whilst playing through the campaign, you will be Trozeiing in several locales that all have a unique mechanic to them. Regular storage stages are the bread and butter of the game. Huge storages will require you to Trozei many more Pokemon than normal. Soul Laboratories are tutorial or challenge stages, and the Phobos-mobile stages each have their own unique boss fight. The bosses in Trozei will throw stones into the pot, as well as black out the stage. But the main challenge that they present is adding back to the remaining counter when it gets low. Sometimes you'll get into a bit of a loop where they just keep upping it back up to like above 50 whenever you get low. You just can't beat the stage, you'll be stuck there forever until you get the perfect chain. Piece of shit, Phobos Bobos, fuck you. On your journey, you will also encounter a junk-loving, ball-fondling old man with some of the greatest lines in Pokemon history. For a single reward coin, he will allow you to play on a larger grid with increased chances of spawning rare Pokemon. But this is a Pokemon game, right? Where's the gripping narrative games around this time have grown famous for? Well, in PkMn Trozei, you play as Miss Fleetfoot, a super spy. It's your job to break into restricted areas and destroy multi-million-dollar Animorph mechs, all in the name of stopping a belligerent sexist goblin from doing something. In truth, the story is barely given any screen time, even for a Pokemon spin-off. Despite this, the intro cutscenes for new areas and bosses are some of my favourites for the DS and have stuck with me since I played the game on my R4 card as a wee 8-year-old boy. I don't even know if these are technically impressive, I just think they're neat. A full playthrough of PkMn Trozei will consist of 2 runs through the main campaign, the second being a much more difficult hard mode run. But it's worth the investment, as by finishing both campaigns, you'll be able to tap into The real game. Shh, 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 shh. The real reason you play Pokemon Trozei is to pit yourself in the hellish endurance races that are Forever and Endless Mode. Endless Mode is available from the get-go and will provide you with the aforementioned endless gameplay on the standard 5x11 grid. But Forever Mode is a whole different beast. Rank that grid up to the 7x11, require 5 to make a Trozei, allocate 3 to 5 business days for a single run, and you might just be able to post up a score in Forever Mode. I haven't even got a score yet, so yeah. If a run that takes 3 to 4 weeks isn't really your style, you can slow things down by grinding out the Pokédex. Or as I like to call it, no, that's stupid, I'm not calling it the Trozei Dex. To complete the Trozei Dex, you can replay stages to collect the 3 rare Pokemon in each of them. This will allow you to guarantee which rare Pokemon spawn. If you've completed all the stages and collected all the rare Pokemon in them, hop back into the old man's den, fondle some balls and collect some rare Pokemon. And once you're at the end of this, you might notice there's still a few missing. In order to obtain these legendary Pokemon, you'll need to talk to other agents in real life. Alright, I hate going into things in depth, right? I'm not a big fan of it. I hate long, drawn-out explanations. But these legendary Pokemon are such a fuckery to get, I thought I'd just explain it in full. So, you need to start a new game, have a new agent card. On your agent card, you will be given 1 rare Pokemon. Could be just regular shit you can find in Stage 2, but there's a chance it's a legendary Pokemon, right? Now, if you get one of these legendary Pokemon, you then have to get the agent card to another copy of the game, rinse, repeat the entire process over and over again until you've rolled every single legendary Pokemon. So yeah, pretty fun endgame. I found a bit of a fun alternative too if you don't want to do that. Here's the plug. But either way, I think you'll really enjoy this grind. It's a good time all around. Now, why am I talking about such an obscure, relatively untalked about video game in the year 2024? Am I some kind of geriatric, old good, new bad preacher? Yes, I am. But I mainly just have a deeply engraved desire to share things I think are cool. Turns out this is at the top of my cool things list today, so here I am sharing this with you. But I feel the visual style of this game that you've been seeing goes very underappreciated. The sound design is top-notch and gives a genuine rush when you are doing well. I mean, just listen to the progression as you chain higher and higher. I really hope you consider trying this game out for yourself. And if you do, I'll consider my job done and disappear off the face of the earth instantaneously. Thank you for watching something a bit different. Even if this does poorly, I'll be branching out and sharing more things I enjoy in the future. I hope you will look forward to it with me. Goodbye.